Today on the Raw Vlog, we're going to talk about The Maze Runner. So the other day, I really needed to get some popcorn. There's really not a lot of options at the movies right now. And I saw that The Maze Runner was playing, and even though I haven't seen any trailers for it, and I have not read the books, and I have no idea what to expect, I decided to go because about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, the effects shop that I used to intern for, Autonomous Effects, were making some of the practical effects for this movie, and I had to sign an NDA, and I got to see what they were working on, but I couldn't talk about it until now, and I can finally spill the beans. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Fun fact, I used to intern for Autonomous Effects many moons ago when I first came out to LA, and I had to sign an NDA saying that I wouldn't talk about it, but I got to see them fabricating these awesome griever legs, and they look so cool, so I wanted to go see what Autonomous got to do in this movie, and I'm so proud of them. Coming up. So first up, I'm going to tell you what the movie's about, then I'm going to tell you what I liked about the movie, and then I'm going to tell you what the movie suffered from before going into talking about the theme. The Maze Runner is about a group of young boys who have been trapped in this giant maze, but within the center of it, there's this thing called the Glade, and that's where they live, okay? And they've got like supplies shipped to them every month, and they're trying to figure out how to get out of this maze, and there's like these fucked up monsters named Grievers in the maze, and they don't know why they're there, they have no memories of their past, and they're just trying to figure it all out. The movie is somewhat reminiscent of Lord of the Flies, where you have all these like trapped little boys who are marooned somewhere and they have to build their own little society and their own little huts and things like that. You have groups of people like the builders, the runners, the potato gardeners, whatever. They have a prison, a doctor's office, a vegetable garden, and even a tree house. Imagine that. Boys building a tree house for themselves. So now let's talk about the good things. Number 1, the maze. The maze itself was super cool. It was very well designed. I loved the sound design of the maze because at night it moves around and shifts and everything, which is super cool. And I just really dig the idea of mazes in general. I just like that idea because it's very symbolic of like many different things. This movie also has a little bit of a Theseus and the Minotaur, you know, Greek myth sprinkled into it, which I always like. I'm a big Greek mythology person. The set design for the maze was top-notch, super cool. I love the way it looked. It looked really old and like it had a history to it and it just been there for a long time. And it just was like crumbling in places. And I really enjoyed the part where they find this area called the Blades, where there's like these swinging doors that can swing like while you're going. So it's super well designed. I really wish that this was something that was in real life that I could go run through just for kicks. Although I want to get out of it at the end. It's like, it's a fun time thing. I'm rooting for the Universal Studios ride for Maze Runner. All right? That's what I want to see happen. Number 2 good point about the Maze Runner. Your monster can make or break your film, and it is imperative to have a good monster, because if your monster sucks, your movie's going nowhere, okay? Just look at J.J. Abrams' Super 8. That monster sucked, and it ruined the whole film. I'm not kidding. And I was really happy to see in this film that they did something that I thought was really kind of fun. I really enjoyed the Griever, who is like the monster in the maze. There's a bunch of them, and they're kind of like these hybrid mechanical and like giant spider things. I don't know, but I think it turned out really well. I do have a criticism for the Grievers, but we'll do that in just a second. But overall, the design looked really fantastic. Made you wonder, who the fuck built these and why and what are they doing to these kids? Because they had these like little injectors and it's like, what are they injecting them with and why are they doing that? It made you ask a lot of questions. Number 3 good point. The mystery action adventure in the movie really worked super well. It had a kind of a Lost quality about it, and if you're into mysteries and if you were into things like Lost, you might really enjoy this. I noticed that the movie really drew me into it. I found myself asking a lot of questions like, what's going on? Why are these kids here? And I started making up all these answers in my head of like what I think it could possibly be, which I find to be a lot of fun. But if you're not into that mystery aspect, then this movie might not be good for you. And number 4 good thing about The Maze Runner is the theme, which I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in depth in a second. But I feel like there are 2 levels to this movie. You have the superficial level, and then you have the level beneath that. The movie is very thought-provoking in certain subconscious ways. If you're into using movies as a springboard to see what's going on in yourself, this movie might have some interesting things for you.
Everything started changing the moment you showed up.
It's a girl.
Thomas. So now let's move on to the bad points. Number 1. The movie suffers from being a part of that whole young adult dystopian novel to movie thing that's going on right now. Okay, I know that a lot of people out there are going to see this as a cash grab from producers who saw that The Hunger Games is really working, who originally saw that Twilight was working, who saw before that Harry Potter was working. I mean, this is a long line of young adult fiction that's been going on with movies. And I feel like if this movie was made 5 or 10 years ago, it would feel a lot more fresh, because right now it feels like it's just kind of like cashing in on Hunger Games success, which it is in a way, but at the same time there are some interesting things going on there that are worth your time and attention. Number 2 bad point. This movie suffers from having a lot of really unmemorable characters who kind of seem like other characters that you've seen before. For example, you have Thomas, the main character, who's more like a CW Neo, and then you have his Tiger Beat Morpheus in the character of Albie, not to mention the Kristen Stewart they got because, they're like, oh, people love Twilight, we got to get an actress that looks like Kristen Stewart. And then you have Chunk from the Goonies, as well as Jojen Reed shows up. I will say the Asian guy didn't remind me of anybody, so good job, Asian guy. Oh yeah, and the best character is, the bad guy in the group is Rob Liefeld. He just looks just like Rob Liefeld, and that cracked me up like every time that I saw him. So it's really distracting for me. Most people won't have a problem with that one, but it's a personal deal for me. If I ever want to make the Image Revolution the movie, I know who I'm casting as Rob Liefeld. By the way, you should definitely check out the documentary, The Image Revolution. We'll have a link in the description below. It's a digital download situation, but it's so good. It talks all about how Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee, and they all left, Marvel and started their own thing. It's a whole thing. It's really good. Rob Liefeld's really funny in it. You should check it out. Okay, whatever. Moving on. Back to the Maze Runner. It's an Inception review. Although I will say, to their credit, even though the characters weren't necessarily memorable, I'm glad that I didn't know who any of them were. Like, I knew Jojen Reed, and then I had seen the Rob Liefeld guy somewhere else. But generally, they cast a lot of really unknown actors, and I like seeing that. I'm glad that they didn't have some well-known people in there. I'm tired of seeing the same old assholes in movies all the time, so it was good to see a new group of kids coming in, trying it out, see if they'll make it. Making it in Hollywood. Number 3 bad point, melodrama. This movie just had way too much melodrama going on. For example, and I'm not going to ruin anything, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but there's a character who dies, and this other character is just bawling over. I mean, just crying and freaking out and having this thing, and it's like, dude, you met that guy 3 days ago. Like, he gave you a bagel once. Like, why are you freaking out like this, right? And plus, you've already seen like all these other children get killed today. It's like, why is this guy fucking special? Just was a bit much. They're going a little too serious in some parts, a little too melodramatic. And this problem kind of goes back to the unmemorable characters deal, because it's like, you don't really fall in love with any of the characters. You're not really that excited about any of the characters. So then when you see one of them die and the other one's freaking out, you're just like, who cares? Like, yeah, I'm trying to get out of this maze. I don't know about you guys. I don't got time to cry for that dude. Like, we're getting out of here right now. Number 4 bad point. This movie really suffers from feeling like more of a producer's movie than a director's movie. I feel like what's going on here is you have a group of producers who are cashing in on the young adult book-to-movie deal that's going on right now, okay? Young adult movies are really hot in the box office, right? But I feel like they could have chosen a director who had a lot more style and a lot more fun with the film. I feel like he kind of did just what they wanted, which was to make it look like everything else, which is a shame because this movie could have been, I think they could have had a lot more fun with it. And I feel like it just lacks that style and singular vision of a director who's in charge.
I need to know that you're gonna follow the rules.
And lastly, let's talk about the theme of The Maze Runner. Now, I feel like this movie has a lot of levels going on to it. Like, you have your surface level, which seems pretty shallow, you know. It's like, oh, it's a young adult movie and action and monsters, whatever, teens get eaten. But I feel like there's a lot of levels to it and a lot of interpretations when you get to the kind of deeper meaning of the movie and what it's actually trying to talk about. On the macro level, you could look at this movie as an allegory for the structures of our society, where you have these people living in the middle of the maze in this comfortable little deal where they get supplies once a month, trapped in this giant prison, this kill box. But they feel like if they follow the rules and do what they're told, that they'll be safe in that little glade that they've been put in. And a lot of people are really happy with this, and they don't want to change anything. They don't want to have to get out of this set society that they're in, because to do that, you have to face a lot of monsters. And I feel like the maze is kind of like us figuring how to fix all these problems that we have, like undo these structures that we have, getting out of the structures that we are stuck in right now because of, governments and societies and corporations and things like that, and their interests versus our interests. And it's a whole thing. But then on a micro level, you could look at it as an allegory for the human brain and your consciousness, where you have the glade, which is like your conscious mind, you see things, you're there, you're awake, and the maze representing your unconscious mind, where it's filled with these monsters who are your fears, self-doubts, things like that. And some people don't want to go into that maze, it's like people aren't ready for that. So that's it for The Maze Runner. It's definitely more interesting to think about later than to actually watch the movie, so maybe check it out. I'm definitely going to check out the sequel that they have coming out, The Scorch Trials. It did make enough money to warrant a sequel. You should know that this is supposed to be a trilogy, like a lot of these films. So I'm interested to see what goes on. From what I've read, the graphic novel and the movie do have a lot of departures from one another, which is fine. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about with this